After 7 years, over 7 million views, and over 32 million minutes watched, the Gaming Historian has reached its very first big YouTube milestone of 100,000 subscribers. And for that, I would like to say to each and every one of you who have watched or subscribed to the show, thank you. Thank you so much, because without you, this show would not exist, and you're the one of my main motivations for continuing to make these videos. So I thought, on this monumental occasion, let's talk about the history of the show, how it got started, what happened in between, and where it's going in the future. Now, I must warn you, the history of Gaming Historian is a long, dark road full of love, betrayal, and adventure. So hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. The other thing I must warn you about is this episode is totally unscripted. I have a few bullet points to go off of, but I wanted to leave it unscripted because I wanted to just talk and be real with you guys. So without further ado, the history of Gaming Historian. So for those who don't know, my name is Norman, and I was born in Okinawa, Japan. I was the youngest of 3. I have an older brother and an older sister. My dad was in the Navy, we were stationed there, and I was born a big old fat baby. I weighed 10 pounds when I was born, so as you can see from these pictures, I was a little chunky butt. Now, unfortunately, I don't remember anything about Japan. We only lived there for 2 years, and then we moved back to the United States. So the coolest thing about being born there is that you get to tell all your friends you were born in Japan. So we moved back to the United States, and we lived in North Carolina, and I went to preschool. And I was kind of a troublemaker in preschool. I got into a lot of trouble. I didn't want to do projects or any kind of work in any way. I just wanted to play outside and kiss girls on the playground. But eventually my dad got stationed in Scotland, so we moved across the Atlantic Ocean. And I loved Scotland. Scotland was an awesome place to live. And this is kind of really where I got into history, because Scotland is full of these old castles, and my parents would take us to these castles all the time, and I would learn about all the history of them and the kings and the battles, and a lot of them were really well preserved. There was one near our house, Edsel Castle, and had this beautiful garden, and they said the castle was haunted, and I just got really into the whole history aspect of it. And I also really got into video games. My family had a Nintendo Entertainment System. It was my older brother's. Eventually I grew up and started playing it. And we had all the classics. We had Mario, Duck Hunt, Mario 3, and the one I remember the most is Dr. Mario, because our whole family played Dr. Mario. It's kind of a bonding thing. I remember not being able to go to bed until I played my mom in a match of Dr. Mario. And we still play it today. It's kind of a family tradition to play Dr. Mario. Eventually my parents saw that, hey, he's really into video games, so let's get him his own. So they got me a Game Boy, and I loved that Game Boy. I had a lot of games for it, and I played it all the time. On all of our road trips to the castles, I would just sit there and play my Game Boy, and that's when video games became a big part of my life. But after 3 years, my dad got stationed back to the United States, and so we headed back. So we moved back to North Carolina, and we basically settled there and lived there for a long, long time. And it was funny coming from Scotland to the United States because things were different. For example, in Scotland, the Sega Mega Drive was the hot system, and over in the United States, everyone was talking about the Super Nintendo. So I would tell everybody, guys, the Sega Mega Drive is the system to get, and they'd be like, nah, man, Super Nintendo. So that was interesting. The other interesting thing was the terminology was a little different. Now I'll give you an example. I was in class and I needed an eraser. And an eraser in Scotland is called a rubber. So I went up to my teacher and said, excuse me, I need a rubber. And I got sent to the principal's office, and my mom had to come in and explain everything to the principal. So yeah, it was a little bit of a culture shock, I guess. But again, we stayed there for a long time, and I got into soccer and video games and, again, history. And I knew during high school I wanted to be a history teacher. I loved going to history class. and I wanted to share all the knowledge and passion I had with future generations. Like, I knew that was it. I mean, I would read my history textbook just for fun because I thought it was so interesting. So after high school, I decided to attend Elizabeth City State University, home of the mighty Vikings. I got a full scholarship and I got into their history program, and it was really awesome. They have a great program there, and I learned a lot about how to do research, and it was just a good experience overall. And during this time, I also really got into Magic the Gathering. I was obsessed with Magic. I would spend a lot of my weekends playing in tournaments and traveling to all these Pro Tour qualifiers, and eventually I got on the Pro Tour. So in 2006, I played in Pro Tour Prague and Pro Tour Kobe. And unfortunately, I didn't do too well in those tournaments, but it was just a great experience nonetheless, and I had an amazing time. But eventually, school kind of overpowered me playing Magic, and so Magic kind of died down in my life, and then I got a job at GameStop. So working at GameStop was basically like a dream come true. Like, I feel like it's every kid's dream to eventually work in a video game store. And so that was cool. Working at GameStop was a lot of fun. The corporate side, not so much. Like, you have to sell magazine subscriptions and sell pre-orders for games, but just interacting with regular customers and seeing all the cool games coming out and the stuff people were bringing in, it was really fun working there. And during this time, I got into collecting games. So obviously, when you get into something, you go on the internet to learn more about it. And that's when I ran across the Angry Video Game Nerd. I feel like everybody kind of got their start with him. And I thought his videos were hilarious. And I would show them to all my friends, and we would all laugh together. And we thought, hey, we should do this. We should make a video. And, we all worked at GameStop, so we thought, let's make a series about the worst video game store in the world. And that's what we did, and we called it Game Flop.
Well, can't get enough of these, can you?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't get enough of this stuff. I'm hooked.
Yeah, kind of like my obsession with Pokemon. Gotta catch them all! You know what I mean? Nothing? How can I help you?
Do you guys have anything new?
Well, sir, we just got a new promotion for our customers.
Well, what is it?
Yeah, our coupon card. $14.99, and you get 10% off all our games. But wait, there's more. You also get 12 months of the #1 magazine in the world, Cat Fancy.
Cat Fancy?
Yeah, ain't it cute?
So Game Flop was a lot different than Gaming Historian. It was a comedy series and had a lot of disgusting humor in it, but it was so much fun to make. Me and my friends would get together every Friday and film these episodes in this computer store that my buddy worked at. And again, we just had a blast making them, and we put them online. We had a small but loyal following, and we really shared them a lot on Screw Attack. Screw Attack was like the site back then, and you always wanted to get your video featured. But eventually I got kind of tired of the whole comedy video game scene. It felt like everybody was trying to do it, and I just wanted to do something different. I wanted to stand out. So that's when I decided to try something new. So during this time, I watched a show on G4 called Icons, and it was the best show. It was video game history. I was getting my history degree at the time. I loved playing video games, so a show about video game history was amazing. The problem was I never knew what time the show was on. It seemed to come on at random, and so I thought, well, let me look and see if there's any other shows like this online. So I looked, and there was nothing. There was no shows about video game history, and that's when it just clicked to me. And I thought, I should do this. I should make a show about video games and where they came from and just the history of video games. I want to make this. So of course I had to find a topic. What's going to be my first topic? Well, as you know, I watched Angry Video Game Nerd, and I always saw in the comments when the nerd would load a game into the top loader like he did in most episodes, people would always comment, "What is that? What console is that?" And of course, I was like, well, that's an NES too. And then I was just like, hey, there's my first topic. I can tell people what this console is, where it came from, and what's it all about. And that's exactly what I did. I made my very first episode of Gaming Historian on the NES 2. Comparing it to the older model, the NES 2 was much smaller and much lighter than the original Nintendo. Also, the power button was much similar to the Super Nintendo, in which you simply pushed the button up to turn the system on. So I finished the episode, I put it on screwattack.com, and people seemed to be enjoying it in the forums, and I put it on the user submissions section or whatever, and then I went to go visit my sister a few hours away, and then that weekend something incredible happened. So I wake up Sunday, and I notice I have like 300 new emails in my inbox. And what happened was I get notifications when people subscribe on YouTube. And that's what it was. It was nothing but subscription emails. And I was like, what happened? What is going on? And I check Screw Attack because that's like the only place I've put this video. And sure enough, the user submission Sunday video was Gaming Historian NES 2. And I was just floored. And that's kind of where the show took off. I went from like 100 subscribers to 3,000 overnight, and it was just the best feeling. I was so happy people were watching it, and so I immediately started working on the next episode. And I think The King of Kong was out at the time. It was a fairly new movie, so I decided to do the history of Donkey Kong as the next episode. Donkey Kong was kind of trending topic right then. So I did that, and then I moved on to asking people what they would like to see. So I did one on the Dex Drive, then I did one on Mega Man, and things were going really well for the show, and I was happy making them. I loved researching every single topic. I was having so much fun making these. I'd never had so much fun doing work before, and eventually I got an email from RetroWare TV who said, hey, we'd love to have you on our site. And that was just a huge deal for me because they had a lot of content creators on there that I watched regularly. Like I watched Happy Video Game Nerd a lot. I watched Video Game Takeout and From Pixels to Plastic. And so I said, well, hell yeah, I'll join. And that was another big moment in Gaming Historian. And the show just kind of took off from there. Kept making episodes, kept getting good feedback. My subscribers kept growing, but eventually school kind of took over again. I had to focus on school because I wanted to graduate and I wanted to still be a history teacher. At this point, the videos were fun to make and I was having a great time, but I never saw myself as, hey, I can do this for the rest of my life. I just thought, well, I'm having fun making these videos, whatever. So then like a dark period happened in my life. My girlfriend left me after a year and a half together, so that kind of sucked. And then I was getting ready to do my student teaching internship when the school came to me and said, hey, we saw your videos online. And I was like, oh, shit, I don't know what to say. I'd never really been, recognized, I guess. And they said, we just want to remind you about being in the public eye and being a teacher. They weren't saying delete your videos, but they were kind of putting pressure on me to, hey, watch yourself. So I eventually just made the decision, you know what? I need to just stop and focus on school. So I deleted my channel. I deleted every video, and I just focused on school and trying to get to a better place in my life. Being dumped by your girlfriend sucks, and I wanted to focus on school, and that's what I did. But eventually, I graduated, got my degree, everything was good, and I really missed making the show, so I put it back up online, And YouTube is awesome because it didn't delete all my subscribers. So everybody was notified, hey, I'm back, and the people rejoiced. And it was a great feeling. I wasn't ready to make new videos yet, but I was ready to put the videos back online. So during my last semester of college, I met this wonderful woman named Kristen, and she was just so funny and so fun to talk to. And we eventually met up and we played some Super Mario Kart together, and that was a lot of fun. And we started dating, and I was really happy and I was in a good place. And eventually I said, well, I have to tell her about my videos. So I told Kristen, hey, I make these gaming historian videos. And Kristen's not really into video games. She'll play a few like Mario Kart or Tetris or Super Mario World, but not into video games like I am, not even close. And she watched them, and to my surprise, she really liked them. And she told me, hey, you've got something really cool here. You should make more of these. And so I did. I started making videos again. And it was such a good feeling to be making more episodes. So if you want to know why I'm sitting here right now making this 100,000 subscriber special, you can thank my wife, Kristen. Eventually it got to the point where I wanted to do Gaming Historian full time. I loved making the videos, and it just bothered me so much. I didn't have enough time to work on it. And so I talked with Kristen, and we decided, all right, let's save our money, build up a good nest egg, and then I'll leave my job and maybe even go back to school and get my master's. And so that's what happened. In January of 2015, I quit my job at the big tech corporate company and pursued Gaming Historian full time, and that is where we are today. You'll notice I've put out a new video every Thursday, and that's because this is what I do for a living now. And I'm super thrilled about it. I love waking up and getting to work. It's amazing. I love making these videos for you guys. So that's kind of where Gaming Historian is at this point. So what's in the future? Well, I do have a few ideas that I'd like to try. I'd love to do like a Let's Play series, but make it more informative than goofy. Of course, there's going to be some humor in it, but I was just going to call it Gaming Historian Live, and maybe put that up maybe like every Tuesday or something before the actual Gaming Historian episode. I'd also love to do episodes at conventions or local game stores just to feature them, or even feature like video game museums. I think that'd be really cool. As far as like ultimate goals, I would love to make a full-length documentary, maybe release it in like a film festival or something, or write a book. So yeah, that's the history of Gaming Historian. I feel like I've come a long way after 7 years, and I'm really excited to put out some more videos for you guys in the future. Hopefully I'll make it to the next big milestone, which is 500,000 subscribers. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching and subscribing, and I will see you next time. Take care.